This is Stacy Marshall with Printware Magazine.
Matt Vassallo with the RhinestoneWorld.com.
Richard Greaves with ScreenMaking.com.
Brian Walker with RTP Apparel.
This is Peter Walsh with M&R, and you're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Podcast hosted by
Terry Combs.
Terry Combs.
Terry Combs.
And
Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Keep on listening.
I don't know if these guys are that regular.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. It is Friday, July 2nd, if you can believe that, 2021. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. Today, Terry and I are going to be talking about competing with major retailers. And I was looking down as we got started, and I saw Terry's chair was empty, and I was like, oh, good thing we did get Eric to read the outline, because Eric, both Terry and I showed up about, 30 seconds ago. Eric was back there kind of going, well, what are we talking about today?
I forgot I had to go turn a light on here and turn a light off there. And I was kind of chuckling to myself as I was running away that those guys are like, where's he going?
That's all right. Hey, we've had worse. We've dealt with it. We've worked through it. So, and Eric has always been there to save the day and carry us to greatness. So,
when I was in college in journalism school, I took all the radio and television classes. So, which meant you ran cameras and you directed, you did this and that. So I knew I had 15 seconds. So.
You got the countdown. You were right on it. I thought
15
about
seconds is that's way longer than people realize.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's check in with some of the regulators who are tuning in here. Good morning, Gusta. Thanks for tuning in from Sweden. And Cindy, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. And Eric in the comments as usual, and running the board. So we'll talk more about next week, Terry. But you got a pretty high bar to to work from. I know when I do my own shows without Eric, it's like, what am I doing? Oh my gosh. So gotten a little spoiled here, but
I will be behind the board next week. So
yeah. So hang on, everybody. It'll be a blast. All right. Let's keep checking in here. Christine, good morning. And Todd, yes, we'll talk about that in 1 second. It's party day. So we're going to have a little decorators community party tonight. And Ramona, appreciate you checking in. Dean and Becky and Mo. Crystal says, oh yeah, I didn't even know it was Friday. Hello, everyone. I don't know if that makes for a good week or a bad week when you go, I didn't even know it was Friday. But hey, it's great to have you here, Crystal.
That sounds like a woohoo moment to me. It's Friday and I didn't even know it.
I made it through the week, right? And then good afternoon to Frank coming to us from the UK. So appreciate you tuning in. And Michael is excited to finish setting up their new 48 heads of embroidery today. That's wow. A nice feat right there.
So much for your long weekend there.
That is true. Probably does mean that the holiday weekend will be full of actually finishing that setup, but maybe not, Michael. You're probably on top of it, knowing Michael. So,
Frank and Justa, we have 4th of July Independence Day weekend. So we most of us we have Monday off, but all the entrepreneurs here, which is most of us. That's just an extra day to get some more work done without people calling us. So
yeah, exactly. I'm already planning. Okay, Monday. Here's all the things I got to knock out for sure, because it'll be a little slower and quieter. And yeah.
Well, heck, you and I have a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because next week we've got DAX Kansas City coming up, and my first time to get to a live event. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. I'll talk more about that at the end here, but. So we mentioned the party, I guess, Terry, and let me share the party here with you. Tonight is, we're calling it and a great name by Terry, by the way. So when I say we're calling it, Terry is the mastermind here. The beginning of the end of the pandemic cocktail party. So obviously we'll have a really good time and just get to hang out and chat about whatever we want to chat about, but we also want to chat with you guys about, how have you made it through? What are, as you look back on this last 18 months of pivoting, as Michael said earlier in the chat there. What is it that you've done? What are some of the keys and so something like this happens again, how are we going to all kind of come together and make it through? So Terry, that was my idea. Not as far as let's chat about that, but that's what I took from how you made it through. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, and Aaron, I think that I think there's three categories for businesses that over this past year. You either thrived, and I've talked to a lot of people who had their best year ever, or you survived, you kept your doors open, or you closed your doors, and we're probably not talking to you right now. So there's I hope that the vast majority of our listeners are in the first two categories, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more later on. But a lot of times, Aaron, when something like this happens, and even on a smaller scale, 2008, the economy downturn, where some businesses that were hanging by a thread, well, that thread snapped because it only takes a little breeze, to make that snap. So this was the true test of thriving or surviving, I think.
Yeah. And I'm not sure where I fit in that. Todd and I started our success group in 2020. So I guess it would be thriving compared to previous year because there was no previous year, right?
Well, one great thing about garment decorating, Aaron, and I've seen this, I've been around this game for a long time and teaching classes for, 20 years, that my classes are overflowing in economic downturns or times like this. Now, my classes got shut down for a year also, but the first class back, in both locations where I teach, they had waiting lists, because people are like, you know what, I'm not going to be caught like this again. I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm waiting for my boss to say, hey, we're going to have to cut half the staff, or we're going to lock the doors.
Yeah.
You're gonna live or die by my own wits, by my own means. And so I think a lot of new businesses started up over the past year.
Yeah. I was reading some stuff on LinkedIn just the other day, the kind of the great resignation that's going to be happening, as people start, because I've seen some different banks and some other places like that saying, okay, it's time to come back to work, and everybody has to come back to work, and you have to show, a vaccination and stuff like that. And yeah, people are kind of going, okay, I just did this from home for 18 months, whatever the time frame was there. And I kind of liked that, right? I kind of liked making my own schedule a little bit more. I kind of like not having somebody over my shoulder. So it will be interesting to see as things continue to move forward here. So anyhow.
And Aaron, there's studies too that show that most people were more productive working from home than they were in the office, because they would put in a little extra time. They had all that drive time, or after dinner, I'm going to go work on that project a little bit more. And so
Yep. I hear you.
I'm the poster child for working from home. So
look at how productive you are over there. You're doing a podcast. You're probably selling something in the background. All sorts of great stuff.
I was making some notes, but go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. Well, good morning, David. Appreciate you checking in. Speaking of things coming up, the Condi virtual open house is also happening next week. So I will be dropping out of the I'll be leaving the booth from Kansas City there for about an hour to maybe hour and a half or so to go back to the hotel room to present my presentation that I get to do there for the good folks at Condi. So I'm going to be talking about 3 pricing strategies to avoid, and then also some that you probably want to use instead, right?
You're not going to do it from the inflatable couch in the booth. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I will be doing some stuff from the booth, and you guys will get to see everything happening over there. But yes, that particular presentation I will be doing from the hotel room, all set up and ready to go. So, all right. Let's see here. Dean says he is poised for recovery, and not sure if it's me that. There we go. Okay.
You and I both disappeared. I could hear you though. So.
Okay. All right. Well, Eric is not panicking in the background, so I think we're okay. All right. Good. So Ramona says, Aaron, I think your business boomed during COVID because people didn't know how to make it through this or keep going, and you teach them that. Yeah. Thank
That's
you.
an excellent point,
that.
Ramona.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Well, dad joke time, Terry.
I think it is.
Okay.
Are you presenting or?
I will. I will share
Okay.
this one. This is from a friend of ours, but I've been fortunate enough to know Jerry for a while here. We both live in the St. Louis area. And so Jerry sent this over on Messenger to me, Jerry Dahlheimer. And here we go. Terry, how do you know when a joke is a dad joke?
I don't know how.
It's apparent.
That's pretty darn funny.
Yeah. For those of you that are listening on the podcast side of this, the Eric did a very good job with the banner when it's apparent. And yes, so there you go. Little play on words there. Very good, Jerry. Thank you so much.
Apparent. There it is.
Parent. There you go. Thank you. Awesome. Well, thanks again to Jerry for sending that over. Yeah, please feel free to send all of your dad jokes our way. We've been getting a lot of them, and we love it, and we love to share them. And if we don't get to share it right away, it goes into my dad base. So there you go.
All right, Aaron, before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We are always looking for new guests, as each and every one of you hear me say every week. If you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, Regular Guys, with your show ideas. If you are listening in the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys with your industry friends right now so they can become regulators too. Someone's trying to call me.
They want to become a regulator, Terry. You got to tell them how.
Can I get it? Can I get involved in that right now? If you are, we would appreciate a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you could go on there and give us a review, it's really important to us. And if you are watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and questions. We're going to be asking you guys to jump in on this particular subject today and talk to us about competition with regular competition with the big guys, all that sort of thing. So
yeah, definitely looking forward to hearing all of the regulators' feedback today, and appreciate everybody that is already tuned in. But like I said, get out there and share this so we can get more, and the more information, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? That's what I love to say. So let's before we dive into that though, Terry, let's hear a word from the Graphics Pro Expo, and then we'll come back and talk about competing with major retailers.
All right.
The NBM show is now Graphics Pro Expo. Graphics Pro Expo gives you access to the awards and personalization, apparel decorating, and sign and digital graphics markets all under one roof. Meet with top suppliers and manufacturers, source hundreds of products, and train with experts for a personalized experience geared toward your business. Graphics Pro Expo is headed toward a city near you in 2021. First up is Irving, Texas, May 13th through 15th. Indianapolis featuring RapsCon, June 15th through the 17th. Meadowlands, New Jersey, co-located with the NSSA Northeast Sign Expo, July 15th through 16th. Long Beach, California, August 12th through the 14th. Pittsburgh, September 24th through the 25th. And Charlotte, North Carolina, October 29th through the 30th. Go to graphics-pro-expo.com to find out more, and we'll see you there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much to Graphics Pro for their support, and we want you guys to get out there and support them, and make sure that you're going to a show near you. A couple of those are already in the books, and the feedback was fantastic. I heard really great things about both of those shows, so you definitely want to check that next one coming up there at the Meadowlands. So I don't know if the good folks there at Equipment Zone are going to sneak over to that or not, but it's certainly well worth it.
They might be walking the show, but I talked to David over at Ace Transfer, and he said that he just shot over to Indianapolis because it's pretty short trip there from where he is in Ohio, and he was kind of like us, Aaron. He was me already being to a show. It was like just walking around seeing people. He goes, I spent the day just seeing friends, that I haven't seen in a year. So, take that opportunity, everybody, get out there to these shows.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to what's coming up here. And all right, Terry, Bill, before we dive into this, a couple more quick thoughts here on, or at least one more quick thought on the pandemic. And again, if you guys want to really get into the weeds on this, that's what we're going to be talking about a lot tonight. Obviously, like I said, having some fun and stuff like that. But if you'll go to tworegularguys.com/party, that's where you can get all the information. Join us. It's a Zoom call. So bring your own beer and hang in and have a good time. But Michael said, I think the one thing that happened during the pandemic is we all had to get back to basics, cutting staff and looking at areas to improve. The internet exploded with research like Shirt Lab, Here for Good, Aaron's our success group. We lost almost all of our customer base overnight. It feels like it's starting to come back, and it's even hard to find people right now. So yeah, there are certainly, as we come back, going to be challenges that everybody's got to face, people, supplies, right? That seems to be a common thread that, where can I find this shirt? Or, we've all seen the pictures of the container ships backed up for miles and miles and miles and not getting across the ocean and stuff. So,
Aaron, and there another point. Sorry to talk over you there.
Fine.
I talked to multiple people who said, "Hey, you know what? I want to buy this equipment or that equipment because, hey, we're going to get through this, but I got time. I'm going to spend some time with my staff, and we're going to learn to be really good at this new process or that new process." And and I thought, wow, more power to you for thinking, because obviously we were going to come out of it. It's not the Black Plague, and hey, they even came out of that. So
yeah, exactly.
half the population of the world, but but still, I thought, wow, that's really cool. And yeah, good on you to have the financial position where you can do that. But now I'm sure all those folks are like out there offering new products, new services, and really good at doing it. So
yeah, exactly. And getting really good at doing it is a great segue into what we're going to talk about here, right?
Exactly right.
Not to jump ahead or anything, but let's dive into this conversation, Terry, that about competing with major retailers. And so maybe give us a little, how did this come to be? Again, show created by one Terry Combs. So thank you very much for the great idea here. But talk to us here.
Well, Aaron, you and Eric and I sit around sometimes and not with each other, but typing with each other, talking about future show ideas. We believe it or not, regulators, we look at this show a year out, and we talk about what we're doing here and there, and then we have spots to fill in, and we talk about ideas. What haven't we talked about, or what could we address again? And I started thinking about this subject actually because the day we had that conversation, I had just spoken with a gentleman who said, and this is quote, "My friend in the business says that major retailers, the big decorators, have driven all the small screen printers and DTG printers out of the business." And I said, well, that isn't true. He goes, well, my buddy says so. And here's my theory about that. His friend didn't want him to come into the business and be a competitor of his. That's probably it.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
Or his friend was looking for someone to blame for his own lack of sales. And there's a lot of that. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But so what is the truth about competing with the Amazons of the world, Aaron?
Yeah, and I just giggle the whole time as you've telling that story, because that's basically a variation on a story that we've all heard over and over in our years in the industry of, exactly. And like you said, probably is the friend not wanting any more competition, or like you said, the second point there, got to find somebody to blame, right? I didn't make it. I wasn't able to do it. And so now for me, with the work that I get to do with the success principles, the number one principle is we take 100% responsibility for our outcomes, our results, right? So, when we start talking about this subject, that's what I want to, for me, if somebody says that to me, that's what I want to dig into first is to kind of get to that point of saying, All right. Well, so you think you can't compete with Amazon, you think you can't compete with this person, but yet people are doing it. You know, it's happening all the time. People here, heck, a lot of our regulators, most of our regulators are people that do it on a day in and day out basis. You know, some of them even use some of the services that an Amazon will provide or something along those lines to be successful. So, I think, just to really start this thing off, Terry, my whole rebut to that person would have been, okay, well, if you're done blaming, complaining, or making excuses, we can go ahead and get into, are you interested in being successful?
Exactly right. And you know, Aaron, competition is everywhere. Competition isn't just Amazon or Walmart, where you can go get a sublimated product now, or share with us, regulators, where the competition is in your town from these major folks. And by the way, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we would like the regulators to talk to us about competition as well, and so we can share your ideas. But you know, Aaron, the whole point here of the pointing fingers for your own failures, in 2008, you know, I can't be successful because of the economy. In your market area, competition in your market area. And I've talked about this before, where, and Aaron, anybody here who has worked a trade show, you know, on the other side of the aisle in a booth, they've heard this. Well, you know, in my town, you can't get more than $5 for a screen printed t-shirt. And I told this story the other day, so I won't belabor it. But the gentleman in Columbus, Ohio, who said, you know, in my town, Columbus, Ohio, largest city in Ohio, you can't get more than $15 for a DTG printed shirt. That's an excuse, you know? And a couple of the other points. Competition is not playing fair. Now, I do have to confess, I was dealing this morning with a situation in California where a California company doesn't charge sales tax, but me, working for a company based in New Jersey, we have to charge California sales tax because it's the law. But one of the other ones too is unreasonable customer requests. That's why I can't be successful. And one of those requests, you have 13 colors, but I want purple. And you know, it's a matter of how you manage your business, how you structure your pricing, how you control what products you sell, things like that. It's really, in that situation, I think it's more of a decorator letting the customer make all the rules. And you just can't be in that position.
It is exactly that. You know, everything. You know, I always use the analogy. You can go to Walmart and you can buy a plain white t-shirt for, you know, less than $5, or you can go to other places and you can buy a plain white t-shirt for $300. And yet the place that's selling that plain white t-shirt for $300 is sold out, or, you know, it does just fine. And yet those plain white t-shirts for $300, you can still find them all over the place. And I know that they sell, you know, there's been news stories about it, and it's true. Now, obviously those are extremes, but at the end of the day, regardless of what your town does, right, you have the ability to sell for whatever you need and or want to sell for. It's just your job to help the customer see the value in working with you. It's called perceived value. It's, you know, we as humans, we're terrible at understanding how much something costs. You know, it's, if you look at a luxury brand compared to a lower price brand of a similar product, cars, watches, whatever, if you were to really dig in and be able to get into the numbers, the actual cost to make both those products is going to be rather similar. Now, you know, the luxury brand might be a little bit more because of some of the extras that they're putting into it. But at the end of the day, the actual hard costs are not really that different. It's the perceived value that you're creating around the product that you're offering, you know? So, a Cadillac's going to sell for more than a Buick, but Buick's trying to change their perceived value. So now, it's all part of the process. So,
right.
That,
you could also be the band, the plain white tees too. That's
there you go. See, there, and then your plain white tee is really going to sell for a lot more because it's from the band, the plain white tees, right?
But I would love to see their merch table. You think it was just plain white tees?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good idea. Somebody see if you can find their merch table on the internet. But, Terry, before we keep going here, though, I want to get to some of the comments that we've got coming in from the regulators here because good ones for sure. So Jeff says Amazon, Walmart, Target, they can make, is it 10,000 of one thing at a fraction of the cost that I can. I can make 10,000 similar things, each one a little different at a fraction of the cost that they can. So again, it's finding what your strengths are, and then using those strengths to your advantage. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do that Amazon can't do, right? That
Aaron, and let me jump in before you read more comments. But when you talk about similar costs, the nuts and bolts are similar, but this one's $5, this one's $300.
Yeah.
Back in the day, when T-shirts were made in North Carolina, I worked for a company in Kansas City that we bought a lot of custom made apparel. We had a new line twice a year, and so I, as plant manager, would get to go down to North Carolina and visit the manufacturers. And I will never forget this. I was in one of the manufacturing facilities one time, and walking through with the owner, and they were every row was making white T-shirts, but this row was this major brand like Nike. This row was like Champion, and I'm just grabbing names, but they were major companies. This row was some other major manufacturer. This row was our company. They were all the exact same T-shirts. They were just sewing different labels in the product, although at these different lines. And guess what? Each one of those was going to sell for a different amount of money. Now our line, we were the poster child for what you and I talk about all the time, Aaron. This was over 20 years ago, and a printed white T-shirt with a collegiate logo on it. Our starting price was about $12.50 wholesale, and that was over 20 years ago. Wow! So you could have gone to a local screen printer and bought that shirt printed for, $5.95, $4.95. $3.95, but it was the perceived value. It was the way we positioned our product as the top end of the collegiate decorating marketplace.
And some of the things that go along with that, then, so people are sitting there thinking, okay, well, how the heck do I do that? Maybe. And part of that was the services that you guys provided on top of the decorating services, so you got to think about that. You got to realize that when you're selling a product, you're not just selling that product, it's the services that go around with it. I think all too often decorators have this like, well, art's part of it, or this is kind of part of what I do, but that's all a service. So whether or not you're actually charging for it as a line item, you should be charging for it in the overall price, because there is value to that. If somebody shows up with a Post-it note or a napkin or whatever and says, I want this on a shirt, well, Amazon's not going to put that on a shirt for them. I mean, they will, and it will look exactly like it does, right?
It's a perfect reproduction of an actual napkin with a
exactly.
Look, there's the stain where I spilled my drink.
So to then take that, to take that napkin and turn it into something that's worthy of being printed on a shirt, that's a service, and so just some thoughts there before we get. So any other thoughts before I get some more of the comments here, Terry?
Yeah, let me just say one more thing. Sure. when we talk about simple steps in being successful in the collegiate marketplace. When I was there with Jones and Mitchell Sportswear, they're part of another company now, but our biggest selling point was we will deliver this on time. And the collegiate marketplace has specific windows where they must have product. When those kids go take their tour of the campus, when mom and dad drop you off at your dorm, the first football game, homecoming, all these special events, graduation. You have to have product on your floor at that time. And our biggest selling point was it will absolutely be there on time. That pushed us right to the front of the class. Yep. And that's true. And you don't have to be selling in the collegiate marketplace. That's true of all of us. Do good work, deliver on time. Do good work, deliver on time.
Exactly. But I think one more thought on that though is that you guys were making that promise. You guys were putting that out there. You guys were pushing that. That was what you led with. I mean, many people might not know this, but there was a time when FedEx was nothing compared to UPS. UPS was the major player, and FedEx was just this small little fly-by-night operation, and they led with the fact that if it absolutely has to be there, that was their slogan, and they led with that. And I think they've pretty much gone away from that now. But this whole idea of it absolutely has to be there on
COVID.
time. Yeah, because we've got this big excuse that we're going to use for the next 5 years. But anyways, so that kind of idea of, okay, what is it that differentiates you from Amazon, from your local competitor, from whoever? And everybody's got something that makes them a little bit different. In fact, Dean mentioned a little ways down here in the comments, I don't even find the local shops a problem. We all have our own clientele, right? There's we all have somebody or a group that we're going to be able to better serve. And so worrying about what Amazon does or, what the guy up the street does, I just see zero value in that from a business owner's standpoint.
Yeah. And oh no, there's somebody 2 blocks from me that opened a business in their garage, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
or the crickets or the silhouettes that everybody gets for Christmas or whatever.
Right. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, competition is not going to hurt you. Now, I'm not saying don't pay attention to them, but you get your customer and you keep your customer. Life is good.
Yeah. Well, I brought up the crickets and the silhouettes. There's always a lot of conversation around that. A lot of times, the new businesses. And here's the deal. The thing is that they're at least getting out there. We were up visiting my dad in a little town west of here last weekend, and they had their Fulton Days, a little street fair kind of thing. And we're walking up, and like every other one was somebody that did some decorating. And you could tell, like the one lady we actually talked to, she got a silhouette or a cricket. I can't remember exactly which one, but she was making all of these little tea towels with, I wouldn't say inappropriate, but funny sayings on them that were questionable to some people, I'm sure. And they selling them for $15 a pop right out of this vendor booth. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, you know what? She's there. The other people that are complaining about these other crickets aren't there. They're not doing it. Because when you looked at the quality, yeah, it wasn't great. It was hard. It was crunchy. I wouldn't want to actually purchase one myself, but I know better, right? People were lined up to buy them though. So,
oh yeah.
It
isn't this hilarious? Yeah,
exactly. I love that part. I love going, oh man, that's funny. And my dad and I were pointing out, So anyhow, it just is a matter of finding your area, going for it, putting yourself out there, and then kind of going from there, I think. So,
and Aaron, sometimes it's the simplest idea. I was at a pop-up store in New York City at Christmas time a couple of years ago, and the pop-up store, all they had were white bags. They looked like the old bank bags, a little rectangular bag with a zipper on top. All of them were white with black, almost like a stencil print on them, with clever sayings about being a princess and things like that. And people couldn't buy those fast enough. I mean, people had 12 of them under their arm standing at the cash register. As fast as they were putting them on the counter, people were buying them. So, you're right about there. Get out there, come up with a, and it doesn't have to be a unique idea. Just come up with your idea and get out there and sell.
It could be your idea, or it could be an idea that you've borrowed from another decorator, and then you're just going to do it in your town, right? Show up at your local city's, 4th of July extravaganza with a booth and a tent, and didn't take a whole lot. It's a pop-up tent. They had a couple tables, some ropes running between the legs of the pop-up tent that they had, and then they clipped the tea towels that they'd made onto those ropes. I mean, Perfect. It was nothing spectacular, but like I said, they were selling them for $15 a piece. I can't imagine that they had more than $2-3 in costs in something like that. And like I said, we talked to her for just a little bit, but had to kind of get out of the way because we didn't want to get in the way of her selling stuff.
I love to talk to you, but you're costing me money.
Exactly. Well, we knew
find something or move along.
Yeah, she was willing to talk to us, but we were like, you know what? There's people waiting to buy here. We're going to get out of your way here. Reach out to us later. So, all right. So, can we get to a couple more comments here, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay. So Cindy said, I brought this topic up the other day in Women in Garment Decorating Group. You cannot compete with China. I was showing an ad from Academy selling 4th t-shirts starting at $4.99, probably 4-color, I'm guessing. Just a guess, so I could be wrong there. But yeah, again, it's, and I guess, Terry, here's an interesting thought, because I'm not going to say that you should just bury your head in the sand and not even look at the competition. But I guess my point is, I want to understand what the competition is doing. So maybe I could borrow a good idea later on from them, or take an idea that they're using and make it my own. But at the end of the day, if I'm making decisions in my company about how to price, about what sales to run, about, what I should be offering as services, and I'm making those decisions solely based on what the competition's doing, I think that puts you in a really, really bad spot. So what are your thoughts on that?
100% agree. You have to be in a position for your own success, and yes, pay attention to the competition, but don't be afraid of the competition. If you're afraid of the competition, I think that you believe that they're going to be able to do something better than you. I don't want to say cheaper than you, but somehow do a better job of obtaining or retaining customers than you are. So that's really on you, that more than on the competition. So you have to be confident in what you do, efficient at what you do, do a good job, deliver on time.
Seems like a theme, Terry.
It is kind of a theme with me.
In fact, Christine says, and this wasn't even on the heels of what you just said. This was before. So you guys are on the same wavelength here. She said, a lot of it is about limiting beliefs. If you believe you can't get a certain price or can't compete with the bigger retailers, you won't. You have to believe it's possible before you're willing to try. So I think runs right along with what you're talking about there, Terry. All right. Let's see what else we've got here. Great comments. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, but we're going to try to cover as many as we can. Gusta says, the question is, do you sell or do you take orders? Right? It is that controlling of the customers. And it's, I'd probably go one step further and not really call it selling. In fact, Eric talks about this a lot in the stuff that he does around marketing and selling, is the whole idea of be a consultant for your customers, and as opposed to an order taker or a salesperson, be a consultant, and that's part of the service. That's part of the perceived value of working with, Terry Combs Screen Printing. Jim's Towing is going to show up because Terry knows how to consult with Jim's Towing Company, right? So
exactly, and take care of them. And sometimes it's a little both, Aaron. I remember you and I many years ago would stand and watch Scott Fresner make this incredible sales pitch, a demonstration presentation where everybody there said, "Oh my God, I have to have this software," and then the order taking would take place. You and I would gravitate over behind the counter and start taking credit cards and put them between our fingers. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, Jim Smith. Okay, let's get your order taken. Okay, yeah. Jane, let's get your order taken care of.
Yeah.
But that was all about the sale.
Yeah. But a lot of that, though, Terry, was our understanding of the process and of the customer, right? We weren't going to get in their way and spend 40 minutes talking them to death about whatever, they were excited and ready to buy. So we understood the process. We got out of the way and filled the role that they needed us to fill.
Right.
There were other times where we would spend time with people when it was required, but we were able to kind of read and understand. And also we're smart enough to go towards the order desk after the pitch was done, but that was a whole different story. But that's that idea of understanding who your customers are, getting out front of what they need, and then not getting in the way of them making that purchase. Don't overdo it either.
Exactly. Know when to stop selling. It is not that important that you get through your spiel.
Yeah, exactly.
When they're ready to buy, let them buy.
Yeah. If you said 2 words and you're only, an eighth of the way through your sales presentation, and they are giving you the buying indications, i.e. their credit card's out or they're asking how to purchase, just shut up and take the order.
Shut up and take the order. That might be the next new one.
There you go. So it's deliver on time, do good work, deliver on time, shut up and take the order.
Exactly. Those will be on our merch site soon.
Yes. Someday we'll have to have somebody make a merch site for us.
We just talked about it.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. We have people say they're interested, but I'm yet to see somebody just put one up, and we'll send people your way if you put one up. I'll even send you our logo and stuff. So there you go. All right. Let's see what else we've got here in the comments. Cindy said, Terry just said the key word, custom. That's what most shops in the USA are. We aren't running thousands of the same design. So there you go. So again, finding where your niche is. Evelyn says, how do you know when retailers need products to supply them? So any thoughts or ideas or feedback on that one, Terry?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. I mean, if you're looking to sell to Walmart or JCPenney or, don't.
Yeah. Hey,
I know people who have been driven out of business who were great decorators but couldn't get paid by these major companies. I'm all about selling to boutique retailers, and I think you just have to find your niche. Maybe you do a line of ski apparel and or ski shirts, and so you go to Breckenridge, you go to Keystone, you go to the Loveland Pass, and you just call on all the different boutiques who sell those products. I think a lot of them are looking for new and unique ideas. I mean, if you go up to Sedona, and Aaron, I know you've been there, and if every t-shirt shop you go into, almost every one of them have all the exact same shirts.
Yeah.
And for the same price, but
Yeah.
but if you were to go in there with some really unique ideas, I think that you would be able to get in the door with them. But and knowing when, everybody has seasons. Like when I was talking about the bookstore marketplace.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where that question came from. It took me a little while to get to it. So probably a little bit more around that when you were getting into the retailers. Like you said, the seasonality. What was your approach to make sure you're on top of that?
Well, in the bookstore market, their biggest selling time of the year was about August 1st and beyond. So every college bookstore on the planet wants delivery of their fall goods on July 1st. So how do you do that? You're going to sell that, probably in February, March, and we literally would start printing those orders in March and print them, put them in boxes, store them. Getting closer to July 1st, we'd have UPS drop 5 trailers on our dock, and we would load the boxes depending on how far away the customer was, so that it would deliver on July 1st. And every day that week, UPS would come and pick up one of those trailers and take it away, pick up the next and take it away, which meant so on the plus, we had a lot of sales. On the negative side, we were printing garments in March and April and May that we weren't going to get paid for till probably September. So you had to have really good cash flow. On the flip side, very, very profitable work. So, not everybody can jump right into that. But hey, if there's a local campus bookstore, you can easily get a license from the local college or the local university. Very easy to do, and and go in with some cool ideas and get your foot in the door. I mean, that's how I started in the business. I printed everything on the floor at the college bookstore at Ohio University for years. So.
Yeah, there we go.
But you have to know your marketplace. You have to understand when they're doing their buying, and every, I mean, like the ski season. You got to be in there, and when it's fall or late summer, if you want to sell for the ski season. So
yeah, and you have to be in that world to know, as those things change, right? I mean.
Exactly
Ski
right.
season does change a little bit depending on when the snow falls, right? So,
or not at all.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Terry. So let's get back to where our outline here a little bit. Did we talk about the big bad box store putting me out of business? Did we cover that already?
I don't think we have completely. I think that the idea though is there's an assumption that a big company. They obviously can do things better. What do you think, Aaron? You think those guys can do things better? Being a guy who has purchased printed apparel from places like Amazon.
Yeah, they cannot do things better. And I know we're going to talk about this. What guys can do better. And so I'll leave that there. But big, small, it doesn't matter. I've seen many small businesses that are terrible at doing the things that small business should be good at, right? And I've also seen many big businesses that are actually terrible at doing the things that that small businesses or that big businesses should be good at. And the reasoning for those things can be different, but it's kind of boils down to what they're focused on. Yeah, a big business is going to be challenged with the fact that it's harder to maneuver. It's harder to pivot and make changes, the bureaucracy and the levels and the layers and the disconnect from the customers to the people making the actual decisions. For example, Amazon, if I bought something from Amazon, now I can go on their chat and normally get pretty good customer service. But at the end of the day, I'm not picking up the phone. I don't have a relationship with somebody at Amazon.
Exactly.
I'm kind of taking that chance. I'm going on their reputation and going from there. But on the flip side of that, if I'm buying something from my local screen printer, I probably have a relationship with them. I'm probably in Rotary Club with them, or, in a group with them, or my kids play sports together or something like that. So it's just a different feel. And I would say as humans, we still like that feel. I'm one of those that it doesn't really like to pick up the phone, but at the same time, I still would way prefer to purchase from people that I actually know and have a deeper trust with. So that's my thought on it. What's your thought on that?
I have to say something about the phone. I actually read this today. And I thought it was kind of funny. Someone talked about reaching out to customers and said, trust me, the person on the other end of the phone is more afraid of answering than you are of them. Wait a second. The person who's calling is more afraid of you answering than you are of picking up the phone. But Aaron, there's an assumption out there that these big companies have unlimited funds, and they kind of do. They have a broad reach. They do. They have a known reputation. They have a brand. Well, guess what? You can have a brand also. And let's touch on the fact that if you send a file to Amazon, for instance, we'll pick on them because they are, in fact, Skynet.
You keep them down.
but they will print that file that you sent. And let me ask all of our listeners out there, do you ever even get one file that's correct when somebody sends it in to you, unless they're a regular customer? No, you've got to call them up and say, hey, this 72 DPI file isn't going to work. And I know you've got a 300 DPI file version of it. Amazon's never going to call and tell you that. You send that file, wham, bam, they're going to put it on a shirt. And by gosh, you'll probably have it back in 2 days.
Yeah.
But is it what you want? No. So,
yeah. Well, and I remember, Terry, a time where, I was just trying to kind of understand what was going on. Amazon was starting to get into Amazon merch, and, you had the Cafe Presses and the other people out there that were really kind of promoting this, custom one-off shirt idea. So I sent the same file to all of the places, and what I got back was a multitude of crap, really. I mean, it was.
I remember you showing them to me. I'm like, oh my God.
yeah. And, $20, $20.
Right.
Piece of crap. And it's like, holy cow. But, again, they understand that most buyers don't know the difference, right? We're involved in this every day. So what we look at and we go, oh, I'm pretty sure every decorator I've ever met could find something wrong with every job they've ever printed.
Right.
And we will nitpick ourselves to death. And that's a good thing, because we care about the quality and we're going to put good stuff out there. But on the flip side of that, you have to understand that, you're going to nitpick that probably more than anybody else. So anyhow, I think that, unlimited funds, broader reach, a known reputation are all true, but that doesn't mean that they're going to put out a better product, or that they're going to have better customer service, or that, unless you get into a direct competition, kind of pissing match with an Amazon or whoever, their unlimited funds don't really matter. Right. We all have the same 24 hours in the day at the end of the day too. So, that's the level playing field that we have.
Well, and why do they go to Amazon? Because it's not like Amazon's undercutting you. They're going to charge you $25 for a garment, because that customer, and almost all of our customers are uneducated buyers, meaning they are not professional buyers. They don't know where to buy this. Oh, Amazon has this, I'll order it there. So what does that say to you, regulators? You got to let people know what you do. You got to let people know that you are a local source for this exact same thing, because given the choice, just like Aaron was saying, given the choice, I would much rather buy it from the shop downtown than order it from Amazon and roll the dice. So,
yeah. All right. So let you ready to get a couple more comments before we get into the close here, where we talk about what we can do better. Right.
Yeah.
And I know we've hit on a lot of these things already, so sorry that I've jumped ahead. Terry's like, come on, stay on target here. And I'm just all over the place.
No, it's like when we have a guest and we have like 5 questions, and on question number 1, they jump right to number 5 and start answering.
So Terry and I are typing. I'm surprised Terry hasn't started typing in the outline. Well, you've already answered this one.
We're having a conversation.
All right. So let's see here. Dan says, my wife runs into an issue of filling her time with contract type work for small orders. And as a fledgling business, it makes it 3 times harder for her to grow, more work with less profit. So as new small businesses, I suggest only doing retail or end user sales. Can't be everything to everyone. There's not enough time or profit for a new shop to do business to business contract work. I think that's a really interesting point, Dan. And I would tend to agree with you. I definitely talk about the fact that, if you try to be everything to everyone, you'll end up being nothing to no one. And so, finding that niche. Now, depending on what your business is, if you're only focused on maybe doing contract work and you're really good at being efficient and you can set up processes really quick and stuff like that, I guess I could see how getting into that. But yes, as a new business, it's always better to start with those retail type customers, because there's more margin for error. If I can get 60, 80, % profit margin on the stuff that I'm making, if I screw up a job, I've got a little bit more of a cushion to fall back on. But if I'm only making, 10, 15% profit margin, I screw up a job, that could be a very catastrophic failure potentially. So I totally agree with what Dan's saying there. And again, it does come down to kind of focusing on what you're good at. What's we talk about this inside of our success group all the time. We just finished up a training last Wednesday about determining your why. And that was really about just kind of focusing on why you do this, because if you can get real clear on the deepest meaning of that, right? And why you do this is not to make money. So because you can go out and get a job to make money. Why do you decorate? And then, okay, well, I like the creativity. Well, why? Right. And just whying yourself to death until you get down into that real core why piece. And the reason for that is once you get down to that, that gives you the connection point to find the people that are going to be willing to pay the prices that you need to charge to be able to fulfill your why. So anyhow, that's my quick jumping off the soapbox version there.
well, it is very easy to get caught in the trap when you first start out of taking anything that comes your way. But try to get out of that hole as quickly as you can.
yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's see here. Anything else in the comments? Again, great comments, guys. Appreciate you guys commenting. We're not going to be able to get to all of it, but Terry, let's in fact, oh man, I'm going to make it long, but we're not going to make it long. We're going to get it. So Terry, let's wrap this up with what can we as quote unquote small businesses compared to Amazons and Targets and Walmarts of the world, what can we do better?
Well, Aaron, one of the things that you've been talking about here is personal service, having that conversation with a customer about file type, printability. Here's a really good one, I think, is personal interaction on orders. And how many, everybody here has done this. The distributor is out of stock on this item, but here's what we can do. You think Amazon's going to call you and say, hey, we don't have this baseball shirt, but we think this is a good alternative for you. No, they're going to say out of stock, due August 17th. So, and something I already mentioned, how often is your customer art what it should be? Almost never. Yeah. And so Amazon's never, and sorry, Amazon, I know there are other people that are also doing this. But
we can't pick on Facebook though, Terry, we'll get kicked off. So
every time I say Amazon, one of my books disappears off their list.
That's right.
But anyway, I think probably more than anything, Aaron, personal service. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Personal service, like you said, heck, even in some of the wholesale stuff that I've done, files and printability of those files, and every product that you make has got a little bit of a nuance to it, right? I remember in the sublimation wholesale world, we would get people, and the popular thing was these kind of random, not random, but they were black stripes, but they were not just solid stripes. They were these, and so you had this black and white garden flag, and there was always some ghosting to that, no matter how well you did it, because that whole, the black on white with a garden flag and shrinking and sublimation and all that other stuff was just a challenge. So a big part of even in the wholesale world was personally working with them to say, hey, we know you want to deliver the best product you can to your customers. So if we make these tweaks, or if maybe we put a little bit of a background behind it to, not have such a black to white, again, I'm just using that as an example, but that ability to help your customers get the best product they can get is a personalized service, and there's value to that. And there's a reason why they want to come to you instead of to Amazon or whoever else. So what else you got, Terry?
Well, I think that since we are coming up on time, are there any more comments from our listeners that you want to get to?
I think the only comment, not that we need to touch on it, but there's some conversation going on inside of Facebook, but Cindy's over on the YouTube side, and she had a comment for Dan. So I wanted to go ahead and just make sure it got up on the screen. So Dan got it since he's over on the Facebook side. She says they should decide if they are going to be a one item or multi-item type shop. It's tough to do one items if you're a screen printer. So there's some thoughts there. Yeah, exactly. Who are you going to be? So Terry, any thoughts before we close this up?
Well, my example that I've given here before, and apologies to regulators who are here every week, but when I was at Jones & Mitchell Sportswear in Kansas City, our specialty was, and we were doing $13.5 million in sales. Our average order was 72 pieces. When our sales manager went out and started bringing in resort business, as a different category of business, where the print runs were 1,000, 10,000 pieces. My staff were falling over each other trying to get those out the door. Now you would think that would be like, oh my gosh, that's the easiest thing in the world. You set it up once and start printing shirts. But no, they were so used to set up, print, tear down, set up, print, tear down, and doing it really, really well that so I guess my point is find your niche and try to stick to it.
Yep, exactly. And for those of you that do get to be here with us every week, you've now got the full Terry experience. You've heard his stories over and over again. This is why I had to bring Terry to the world, because that's what I fell in love with Terry about, is the opportunity to always find a way to share the same stories and still make it worth hearing.
Maybe a little nuance,
Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, Terry, let's do 5 things. We've got a special guest joining us. He's been working very hard in the background, but Eric, would you go ahead and run the 5 things opening and then bring yourself on screen, please? Welcome to the show, Eric. Thanks for being here, and thanks for pushing all the buttons. So you got 5 things for us today. Are you ready?
Yes, I do. I'm absolutely ready, because I actually think that these are fairly important things. I will admit, though, I didn't make my own banners. I usually make banners for everybody, and because it was me on today, I forgot to make my own banners. But I do actually have 5 things that I think are worthwhile to share today. And today, it's something that I'm going to be talking about later on my show a little bit. But this is 5 reasons to take on self-directed projects. Now, what I mean by a self-directed project is something that isn't customer supported. It's not something that you're getting an order from. It's something that you want to make for yourself. Number 1 of these 5 things, it allows you to explore techniques you're not yet familiar with. If you're not sure that you're ready to offer something, one of the greatest things you can do is find some sort of project you want to make for yourself, something that explores and works in that new technique. So work out the kinks yourself as you're starting. Number 2, it fills out your sample case. Whether this is virtual or literal, we can have samples that we can show. Either this can be your Instagram feed, this can be your TikTok stream, this can be whatever it is, but we want to show samples. Number 1, and be quiet and don't say this out loud in front of your customers. If your customers are listening right now, turn down the volume. Customers don't always have a tremendous amount of vision sometimes. They come to you and they need something and they don't even know what it is. When you have that sample case in front of them, you can show them the kinds of decoration that are possible and the kinds of applications that are possible. And once they see it, they know what they want. And frequently that kind of 85% of my customers I've always found need a little cajoling to know exactly what they want, even if they have a gist. Third thing, let's go to showing your styles or products. So if there's something that you want to add to your product line, doing a self-directed project, something of your own design that you want to run, allows you to show that and have something tangible for them to see. So not just a technique that you're not familiar with. Let's say you're familiar with it, but it's something that's not selling. One of the things you can do is actually have a sample made up that's in a category. It can also be a category of business you want to sell to. So the subject matter of the design can also bring in that category to your product line. So whether you want to expand to different people you're selling to, or you want to expand with different products, doing a self-directed project just allows you to have that sample in front of you and kind of have something to show. Once again, after that, we have number 4, provides you a judgment-free and a less time-sensitive place to explore your craft. The truth of the matter is no one has to look at this stuff but us, right? If it turns out that something doesn't work out, we can toss it, we can start again. And if we make something for ourselves, we really are not kind of stuck with the same kind of pressure we might have if someone else is waiting for it on the other end. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to say that some of the coolest projects I've done have been discussing with customers and saying, I know you want something new and different and original. I can do that. It's going to take extra time, and I'm willing to do that for the same price we usually charge because I'm exploring something. You can really get into some great partnerships, but there's been some times where I really just want to make something for myself and know that if it all turns out poorly, I don't have to show a soul. And number 5, it's fun. It's fun and informative, right? Number 1, we are doing a cool job. Who doesn't want to make cool shirts, cool hats, and other assorted accoutrements? Who doesn't want to make a cool tumbler with some image on it that you always wanted? Everyone has had that great t-shirt idea. Well, this is the chance to make your great t-shirt. Also, it allows you to be the customer. If you look at what you're providing yourself, you know what you have to ask the customer. And if you look at how that turns out or what processes interact with the ideas you had, you can kind of have a better understanding of what that process needs to be and what you need to ask the customer to get your best results. So like I said, there's many, many more reasons to it. And I think it really helps us to become more intrinsically motivated when we do our own projects. But I absolutely think you should take on self-directed projects that have nothing to do with client work whenever you can.
Awesome. Great 5 things there, Eric. Thank you.
I have an issue with number 4, judgment free, because we are the judgiest people of our own work of anyone.
Absolutely true. I almost said it too, because honestly, I have samples that I would never show a soul that, and honestly, it's judgment free. Not that I'm not going to judge it. It's judgment free because I don't have to show anybody if it turns out like
outside judgment. Outside
right,
judgment.
there you go.
Yeah,
let's put it this way. It gives you a chance not to have everyone judge your shop on whatever you just messed up.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, Eric. Well, while you're here, what do you have coming up here today and in the future?
Well, today, as you guys know, at 2:30 Mountain Time, everybody get ready for the Take Up. Today, it's it's about pricing and protecting yourself and misunderstanding. So it's a show that's not as technical. Sometimes I do digitizing shows. Sometimes I do stuff that's business related. This time, I had some people asking me about pricing issues. I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk a little bit about ways to deal with customer expectations that will protect you and your business, and a little bit about finding purpose in your work. Because like I said, this is something that I think we don't always get our motivation, our purpose settled out. And it's something I know I got to listen to a little bit of Aaron's presentation for our SIS group. And I had some other feelings about creatively, some things that are interesting for those of us who are in the creative side of it. So that's going on 2:30 today. Go to ericcampbell.com and head to the tab at the top labeled the Take Up, and you can find everything on that playlist. Also, my Understanding Emblems, the big patch course, 4 hours of everything you need to know about making patches and selling them for small run embroidered edge patches, is now available as a recording. So head over to decorators.education/emblems to get a hold of that. And once again, last but not least, we are going to be at DAX in 1 week. Live events are coming. So if you want to be in on one of my kind of beloved courses, one of the courses everybody really has wanted me to teach again, I updated one of my longer courses. So once again, big 4-hour workshop on digitizing called Elevate Your Embroidery Digitizing, happening once again in 1 week on Friday from now. So head over to daxshow.com and then you'll be able to get all the details there. I'm also, of course, appearing later on Impressions Expo Fort Worth. You're going to see me teach specialty thread, and I'm going to be on Madeira's panel, Elements of Excellent Embroidery, with a friend of the show, Jeff Fuller from Embroidery Nerd and Fuller Embroidery Works. He and I will be doing a panel together for the first time. So cool stuff coming for the rest of the year.
Awesome. Great job. I tried to get banners up, but I was very slow. So.
And for some reason today, I am out of sorts. I was going to try and do it by myself. If I were running my own show, for some reason, I can do it. But on this show, I'm like, I've just lost my ability to do banners while I talk.
Terry and I, we get you out of sorts. So.
I didn't know I was presenting my own events, so I just completely lost my train of thought.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it. We throw curveballs at everybody, make it as uncomfortable as possible.
At least I maintained the podcaster voice through the whole thing.
There you go. There you go. All right, Eric. Well, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate being here. Good 5 things, and make sure you guys are checking out the Take Up later today, 2:30 Mountain Time, 3:30 Center of the Universe time, as we all know.
I mean, there's also the half. We're going to talk about that.
That's true. I'll talk about that in a second. All right, Eric. Back to the back for you, sir. See ya. Thank you.
Eric says lots of words.
I know.
I was thinking of when you and I first doing presentations together, your slide would have a paragraph on it. My slide would come up 2 words. Your slide would have a paragraph. My slide would come up 3 words.
Yeah. Well, you know, we had to find a happy medium because, my full, you were being kind, a paragraph or, an entire speech of 4 or 5 paragraphs on one slide. And I realized people are like trying to read all this while I'm talking. I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't work. All right, Terry. Well, what's coming up for you, sir?
My screen printing class in Chicago coming up August 21st and 22nd. And Aaron, I'm going to be back in Chicago the next weekend for the DAX Chicago
whole week, or
I've considered it, to be perfectly honest.
I kind of figured. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to be there August 27th, 8:30 to 12. It's going to be, am I doing this right? Pro tips for screen printers. This is going to be partly hands-on. The good folks over at Atlas Screen Supply are bringing over a press and screens, and and some assorted things for me to use in the class. So it's going to be a half day. So please take a look at that at dax.com and watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, definitely. And just FYI, it's daxshow.com. So
what did I say?
You said dax.com.
Oh, I meant Dax Show in my mind.
For the podcast listeners, I wanted to make sure we got that right. It's Dax Show, no S, daxshow.com. All right. For me, let's see here. Well, let's start with what's coming up next at 11:30. So let's see, in 20 minutes, Eric and I will be doing the half, and so you can catch that where it's 30 minutes of Q&A, wide open. There's no outline, we just interact with the people that show up and have a great time doing it, and sometimes cover some great information, sometimes have a lot of fun, and sometimes cut each other off in the middle of sentences because we always end at 30 minutes, no exception. So come have some fun with us. You can find that over at liveosg.com, which will get you to the Our Success Group YouTube page, or if you're over there on YouTube already, you can just search for Eric Campbell and you can find it there. Or if you'd rather catch it on the Facebook side of things, you can do so at facebook.com/Our Success Group Pro, which is our business page there. Or again, if you're already on Facebook, you can just search up Eric Campbell, ERICH Campbell. And that's why I love Eric having a little bit of a unique spelling to his name, because he's super easy to find. So yeah, coming up in about 20 minutes, check that out. We talked about DAX Kansas City, so excited to, like I said, I'm excited to be there live and in person. We actually have a booth, Our Success Group does, and we will be in booth 218. We're actually neighbors with our friends from CorralTrainer.com, so we're actually kind of not really combining booths, but most booths have that kind of rod in the middle between the two. We've taken it down, so we're breaking down barriers at DAX there, literally. So looking forward to that. Got a blow up couch. We actually purchased a new one there, a little bit smaller one. So
nice.
When you're there, we'll get the bigger one, but for this particular little smaller one, looking forward to sharing with people about our Success Group. We're actually furiously working on wrapping up a project where we're going to have a keys to growing and launching training module available as a standalone purchase for people. And so we're really excited to share that instead of it being the live training we do inside our membership group. This is a actual training module with 5 modules for each key, and there's home and lots of stuff to get you to have a fashion to grow and launch your business. So stay tuned for that, and we will be announcing that, releasing that at DAX Kansas City. And then beyond that, I've got the Applique Getaway that I will be at. I'm super excited. In fact, Christine keeps telling everyone who will listen, and I appreciate this because it'll keep me accountable, but I am going to be embroidering something.
What?
So, holy cow, look out world. And it may or may not be on a live stream somewhere. So just stay tuned. So that's happening July 23rd through the 25th. I'm going to be presenting a couple of seminars there. First one is going from hobby to business, the 5 keys to success. And on Saturday, the 24th, I'll be talking about conquering fear and living to tell about it. Basically, how do we overcome the fear of things that we need to do as business owners? And then how do we turn that into the art of success? So go over to appliquegetaway.com and sign up for that. I love that event because it's an in-person event, but there's also a virtual option available as well. So definitely plenty of opportunities for everybody. So that's what I've got going on, Terry. And then I guess the one thing I didn't have on my list here, but I do want to make sure that I mention is that Condi virtual open house. So if you go over to dietrans.com and you can sign up for their virtual open house that they're going to be having next week as well. And the great presentations happening there. I'm going to be talking about 3 pricing strategies to avoid. And then, maybe some ideas about things you should do instead.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, Terry, come to the close of another show. Thanks very much to the regulators for all of their participation. We didn't get a chance to get to every single comment. So if you are listening to the podcast version, make sure you head over to Facebook or YouTube or both and get in on the actual comments and keep that conversation going. And also want to remind everybody, join us tonight for cocktails and chatting with industry friends and kind of where we started this show, talking about, what we did to survive and what we're going to do in the future and what we learned from this whole pandemic. So the beginning of the end of the pandemic, right? That's what's happening. tworegularguys.com/party. So thanks very much for everybody for participating today.
I sort of kind of borrowed that from Churchill, but anyway.
He's going to let you have it. It's okay.
It's not the end. It's not the Anyway, hey, we want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for keeping the show running smoothly like sliding down an Icelandic glacier. Eric gets that.
He does. Totally does. And he does keep it running as smooth as sliding down an Icelandic glacier. I love it. All right. Well, next week, Terry mentioned that I'm going to be at the DAX show. So you are bringing back and I'm hoping to not see the logo change and it's becoming the Terry and Jay show. What I'm really horrified about is that I'm going to show up because I'm actually going to try to pop in towards the end of the show and just kind of give you guys a quick update from DAX. But what I'm terrified about is just seeing you and Jay just sitting there gorging yourself on tacos. That's what makes me nervous.
I'm not going to go to the other side.
Okay. All right. Good. A little sigh of relief for me. But you guys are going to be talking about bad information that is shared freely on the internet. So I'm already putting mine into the bucket of don't dip your mugs after you sublimate. But anyhow, I'll let you guys talk more about that next week. So make sure you're tuning in to the Jay and Terry show. Terry will be running the board as well. So hang on. It's going to be a fun ride.
Exactly. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And we are the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.